Hello, and welcome back to another episode of General Conference Conversations, the podcast where we have conversations about General Conference. I'm your host, Kaylin, and I'm super excited to be with you today, and we get to talk about Elder Gerard's talk, Integrity, a Christ-like Attribute. And as always, I definitely encourage you to read, watch, or listen to this talk before you come and listen to me talk about it. So you can get your own insights and your own promptings and all that. But to summarize, as you can probably tell from the title, it's all about integrity and the need for integrity in our lives, which is the ability to stick to our morals and beliefs in our relationships with other people and with God and with even with ourselves. And pretty early on, he defines integrity, right? He says, living a life of integrity requires us to be true to God, to each other, and to our divine identity. Integrity flows from the first great commandment to love God. Because you love God, you are true to Him at all times. You understand there is no right and wrong. You understand there is right and wrong, and there is absolute truth, God's truth. Integrity means we do not lower our standards or behavior to impress or to be accepted by others. You do what is right and let the consequences follow. And so, of course, I looked up the definition of integrity because it's one of those words that, I use, but I don't always know the actual meaning to, right? I don't know what integrity means, but if you were to ask me to define it, I don't know. So, the definition of integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Also, the state of being whole and undivided, which is more like a literal definition of it rather than applying to someone's character, right? And the other definition use of the word that immediately popped into my head reading this, I work in construction, and so of course the phrase structural integrity popped into my head. So structural integrity is basically how much can your structure hold, right? How good is your structure? How well can it support the designed load that it needs to support? And so I thought that kind of was interesting to think about in this context, right? That how good, I guess, but how strong are our beliefs and how strong are our morals to then hold up our behavior, both in front of people and in private, with ourselves, with our interactions with God. How can those support us? How can we have that integrity? And basically, at the end of the day, integrity is, do you practice what you preach? Right? It's the opposite of hypocrisy kind of a thing, and it's it's standing up for what you believe, and whatever that is, striving to be honest in our interactions with other people. So very simply, for our first question is, are you practicing what you preach? Are you living what you say you believe? Are you striving the best that you can to stick to the morals that you tell people about? And I really like his kind of caveats a little bit later. He says, a life of integrity is not a life of perfection. It is a life in which we strive every day to foremost be true to God, and within that context to be true to others. And of course, he talks about the two great commandments a lot in this talk, and his three kind of sections are true to God, true to others, and true to our divine identity. And I have a really hard time saying the word identity today. It's fine. And I thought that was interesting, like, integrity of, like, well, obviously you're being true to God, right? You believe in God, you believe in his commandments and the covenants that you've made with him and all this stuff. Like, you're true to him, you're true to your belief in him and the things that come along with that. Of course, what he says in that context, being true to others, that not only are we, like, standing up for our morals, not only are we practicing what we preach around other people, but also to other people. How are we treating other people? He talks a lot in here about, like, how our integrity can impact people and how our integrity can be, like, the interactions that people have with us, and our integrity and our, like, I'm gonna say integrity way too many times in this episode, but the interactions that people have with us can be their first or only interactions with God, with godlike people, with godly people, right? With Christ-like people. And so we can be the thing that, or the people that kind of, that impact them, that bring the Spirit into their lives as we live what we believe. And of course, I've known all of that, right? Like, obviously, we talk about that all the time, of, like, we live by example, we live our religion. It's very much a lifestyle. And I've always known the two great commandments very much piggyback off of each other, right? As we love God, we are going to love our neighbors because God loves our neighbors, and we are all children of God. And then as we love our neighbors, we are loving God because we are loving his children. And so it's all intertwined, right? It's all intertwined, all in there. And the third one just kind of goes right along with it, is we love our neighbors as ourselves, right? We are acknowledging our divine nature and also the divine nature of every person around us, because they are also children of God, also divine beings, also have divine identity. And so this is kind of a very general, abstract question about how can you be true to others in your interactions with people, with your neighbors, with your coworkers, with your family members, friends, acquaintances, ward members, right? Anybody that you come across, how can you be true to them? Again, like I said, it's very kind of abstract and very general. Like, this is something that is going to be different with every single person that you come across, because you have a different relationship with them. They're in different life circumstances, you're in different life circumstances, right? It's all going to be different, but how can you be true to others and have that integrity specifically, right? So are you practicing what you preach, but also specifically, are you being true to others? So that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening and or watching this episode. Please leave your thoughts in the comments. Or you can head over to Instagram or Facebook to comment, or you can shoot me an email or a message if you don't want to comment publicly. I'd just love to hear your thoughts and actually have a conversation about everything that I've talked about today. And I'll talk to you next time.